Every single day, millions of people lace up their shoes, grab the leash, and head outside with their dog. They believe they're doing something healthy for their body. And in many ways, they are. But there is one part of the average dog walk that most people never think about. A small movement that repeats itself hundreds, sometimes thousands of times every week. And over months or years, that repeated movement may gradually change the way your knees handle force. The surprising part, most people never notice it while it's happening. They simply start feeling more stiffness, more discomfort, or more instability over time, without realizing what may be contributing to it. It's not your shoes, it's not your walking speed, and it may not even be your age. It is something that happens between you and your dog during the walk itself. And in the next minute, I'll show you exactly what it is. In this video, I'll walk you through 5 common dog walking mistakes that may place unnecessary stress on the knees over time. More importantly, I'll show you a simple fix for each one. Some of these mistakes happen during the walk. One of them happens before you even leave the house, and mistake number 1 is so simple that most people overlook it completely, despite repeating it almost every day. So what exactly is happening? Here's the simple version. Every time your dog pulls on the leash, whether forward, sideways, or unexpectedly, your body has to react. Your hips shift, your torso adjusts, and because the knee sits between the hip and the foot, it often ends up absorbing part of that force. 1 pull isn't a problem, 10 pulls aren't a problem. But when the same movement is repeated over and over again across hundreds of walks, the accumulated stress can start to add up. And that's where many dog owners get caught off guard. And here's the part most people never think about. The issue isn't usually one walk, it's repetition. Small stresses repeated day after day often have a much bigger impact than people realize. And when several of these mistakes happen during the same walk, the effect becomes even greater. Now, before we get into the countdown, remember that leash pulling is simply the foundation of the problem. The mistake I surprised most is mistake number 3. It happens before the walk even begins. We'll get there shortly, but first let's start with mistake number 5, because the fix takes almost no effort at all. Mistake number 5, holding the leash in the same hand for the entire walk. At first, this seems completely harmless. After all, it's just a leash. But your body doesn't see it that way. Every time you hold the leash on one side, your body makes small adjustments to manage that load. One shoulder may sit slightly lower, one side of the torso may work a little harder, and over the course of an entire walk, those small adjustments are repeated again and again. Individually, they're insignificant. Repeated hundreds of times per week, they can begin creating uneven loading patterns throughout the body. And that's exactly what many people never notice. The problem isn't a single walk, it's what happens when the same pattern is repeated for months. The good news? The fix is incredibly simple. Switch your leash hand every few minutes. Left hand, then right hand, then back again. You don't need to do it perfectly. The goal is simply to avoid spending the entire walk loading your body from the same side. Also, keep your elbow relatively close to your body, rather than reaching outward with a straight arm. This encourages a more balanced posture and reduces unnecessary tension through the shoulders and torso. Small adjustment, big difference over time. But mistake number 4 is even more common. In fact, almost every dog owner experiences it during a normal walk, often multiple times. Mistake number 4. Twisting when your dog suddenly stops, lunges, or changes direction. Picture a typical walk. Everything is going smoothly. Then your dog spots something, a squirrel, another dog, or something that instantly grabs their attention. In a split second, their movement changes, and without thinking, your body reacts. For many people, that reaction involves planting one foot and twisting to maintain balance. It feels natural, it feels harmless, but this is one of those movements that can place unnecessary stress on the knee, especially when repeated over and over again. And most people don't even remember doing it, because it happens automatically, which means they repeat it for years without ever realizing it. That's what makes this mistake so sneaky. And what makes the next mistake even more interesting is that it often begins before the walk ever starts. Here's a better approach. When your dog suddenly stops or changes direction, think about stepping rather than twisting. Allow your feet to move with the change in direction instead of forcing the knee to absorb all of the rotation. The goal isn't perfect technique, it's simply reducing unnecessary twisting whenever possible. Most people notice this feels awkward at first. That's normal. But after a few walks, it becomes surprisingly automatic. And once it does, you've removed one more source of repeated stress from your daily routine. Now let's move to mistake number 3, because unlike the first 2 mistakes, this one often starts before you ever put the leash on your dog, and it may explain why some people feel stiff during the very first minutes of their walk. Mistake number 3. Walking your dog immediately after sitting for a long period of time. This is one of those habits most people never think about, because sitting feels normal and walking feels healthy. So naturally, people assume the transition between the two doesn't matter. But your body doesn't switch that quickly. After sitting for 30 minutes or more, your hips and surrounding muscles adapt to that position. When you stand up and start walking immediately, your body is still in that sitting pattern for the first few minutes. And during those first steps, your movement mechanics may not be fully optimal yet, which means the early part of your walk can feel a little stiff or a little off without you really noticing why. Most people blame age or stiffness or just not being warmed up yet, but there's usually a simple reason behind it. And here's what makes this even more important. The first few minutes of your walk often set the tone for the rest of it. If your movement starts slightly off, your body tends to repeat that pattern. The fix is simple. Before you grab the leash, give your body a short reset. You don't need a full workout, just a quick 90-second routine to wake up your movement system. Movement 1, a gentle hip flexor stretch, 20 to 30 seconds each side. Movement 2, a slow glute bridge, 8 to 10 controlled repetitions. Movement 3, small controlled hip circles, a few in each direction. That's it. The goal isn't exercise. It's simply preparing your body to transition from sitting mode into walking mode more smoothly. And now we move to something very important, because the next mistake happens during the walk itself. But most people think they're doing the right thing when they actually aren't. Mistake number 2. Looking down at your dog for most of the walk. This is extremely common, almost instinctive, because your dog is right there. You want to check on them. You want to make sure everything is okay. But when your head stays angled downward for long periods, your posture gradually changes. Your head shifts slightly forward, and even small forward shifts can change how your upper body carries weight. That load doesn't stay in one place. It travels through your spine, through your hips, and down toward your knees as part of your overall movement chain. Most people never connect these dots because the effect is not immediate. It builds gradually over time. And what makes this mistake even more interesting is that most people think they're being more careful by watching their dog closely, when in reality, a more neutral head position is often better for overall alignment. The fix is simple. Keep your gaze mostly forward. Think of a natural horizon line in front of you. You don't need to stare straight ahead rigidly, and you don't need to ignore your dog. Just avoid spending the entire walk looking downward. Instead, check on your dog in short moments, then return your gaze forward. This small adjustment helps keep your head, spine, and overall posture in a more neutral position during the walk. And now we move to the final mistake. And this one is surprisingly simple, but it may have the biggest long-term impact of all. Mistake number 1. Always walking your dog on the same side, left side every single day, or right side every single day. Most people don't even think about this. It just becomes a habit. But over time, your body adapts to repetition more than you realize. When one side is consistently loaded in a slightly different way, your movement pattern can gradually become asymmetrical. Not dramatically, not suddenly, but slowly over months and years of daily walks. And because it happens gradually, most people never connect it to their walking routine. And here's what makes this even more important. Small asymmetries that repeat every single day often matter more than one-time mistakes. The fix is very simple. Alternate sides. Left side one day, right side the next day. You don't need to overthink it. Just avoid letting one side do all the work every single day. And now let me show you something important, because fixing mistakes during the walk is only half of the picture. Every time you finish a walk, your body doesn't instantly reset. It carries a bit of that movement stress with it. So here's a simple 2-minute reset routine you can do after every walk. Exercise 1, slow standing calf raises, 15 controlled repetitions. Exercise 2, gentle quad stretch, 20 to 30 seconds each leg. Exercise 3, controlled hip mobility circles, a few in each direction. That's it. 2 minutes, no equipment, just consistency. Most people skip this step and then wonder why their knees feel stiff later in the day. Let's quickly go over everything. Mistake number 5, holding the leash in one hand the entire walk. Fix, switch hands every few minutes. Mistake number 4, twisting when your dog suddenly stops. Fix, step with the movement instead of rotating your knee. Mistake number 3, walking immediately after sitting for a long time. Fix, a short 90-second warm-up before your walk. Mistake number 2, looking down at your dog the entire time. Fix, keep your gaze mostly forward. Mistake number 1, always walking your dog on the same side. Fix, alternate sides regularly. These are small adjustments, but when repeated daily, they can make a meaningful difference in how your body handles walking over time. If this video helped you understand your walking habits better, you can subscribe for more practical movement and joint health content. Before you go, tell me this. Which of these 5 mistakes are you most likely to fix starting today? Let me know in the comments. I'm curious to see which one gets mentioned the most.